Wasabi wallet. Unfairly private.
What's up, everyone? Ben with the BTC Sessions here, and this is your daily session.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
Before we jump in, of course, shout out to sponsors of the show. First off, Ledn.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin for a handful of different services. First of all, you can earn Bitcoin on your Bitcoin paid in Bitcoin using their Bitcoin savings account. You can also check out Bitcoin-backed loans. This is where you use your Bitcoin as collateral to obtain a Canadian or US dollar loan. So in an instance where you need to get your hands on dollars, but you're maybe worried about selling your Bitcoin, you think it might be a bad time, well, this allows you to do that. And hey, it's also not a taxable event, so that's a bonus. And finally, if you're a huge Bitcoin bull, you can always check out their B2X option or their Buy 2X option, which exposes you to double the price of Bitcoin. If you want to check out any of those, there's a link down below. And if you opt to get one of their loans, they will credit your account with an additional $50 worth of Bitcoin. And secondly, very excited to have these guys partnering with the show for this month, Rise Wallet. So what is it? Basically, it is a Bitcoin gift card, and it's very much targeted at onboarding your pre-coiner friends. So Christmas is coming up, for me, this is a super easy way to gift somebody Bitcoin for Christmas. So you buy the card, there's an activation fee on it, but the person that's receiving the card gets the face value dollar amount of Bitcoin on the moment of redemption. So how it works is there's a paired app, really simple. You scratch off the back once it's been activated, you scan the QR code, it auto creates a wallet for you and deposits it right on the spot. It is super idiot proof. I tried it out today, and it's super awesome. So be sure to check them out. So they're available at a number of different stores. They are specifically in Canada, so you can go to their locations. They are working on expanding more, but for the holiday season, if it's not near you, because there are limited locations right now, you can also go over to coincards.ca right over here, and you can pick them up and actually get them delivered to you in the mail, so that you can gift your friends with them. Once again, Rise Wallet, super stoked to see these guys partnered with the show. There's a link down below if you want to check them out. And with that, let's jump into the news. So there's been a massive amount of Bitcoin moved on the Bitcoin blockchain. We were talking about it a little bit yesterday. There was some questions around what was happening with these large transactions. I'll just read the headline for you. Almost $9 billion of Bitcoin was moved on-chain in a single hour. This is a record in the entire history of Bitcoin. No money in dollar terms has ever been moved in a single hour more than this current. So here's a little graph of kind of volumes on chain in terms of US dollars. And yeah, this spike right here, that was yesterday. $8.9 billion moved on chain. Actually looking at this graph here, it's pretty interesting because seeing this. So there is the spike in, so this would have been the run up to the mania at the end of 2017. So but I mean, look at this year, 2019. So this would have been that June spike where we went to 14K, but the on-chain dollar value volumes that was moving on-chain, it was way higher than what was happening back in 2017. And then we get this crazy spike here, $9 billion in an hour. I mean, it was a little bit more isolated than these run-ups, but if you look in general at the volume, other than like the spikes of slight manias that happen, it's pretty impressive how much it's kept up with on-chain volumes, how much it's being used. So what was this? Well, it was Bittrex, and we were talking about the other day, there were some deposits, withdrawals, all that kind of stuff. Well, Bittrex did 21 on-chain transactions within an hour, each of which moved around 56,000 Bitcoin, which is $416 million. But this is the cool part, a fee of around 60 cents for those transactions. So that's pretty wild to me. That's insane that much money was moved around for next to nothing when you're looking at the size of the, especially compared to what you're moving. Pretty impressive. Now, we shouldn't oversell this. Again, of course, with more transactional volume, with more transactions trying to be executed, those fees do increase, right? But again, we were talking about this the other day with on-chain efficiencies and upgrades, things like SegWit, Bech32 addresses, things like transaction batching and other things that are being implemented on-chain. It very much helps with that. Then when you factor in second layer technologies like Liquid and Lightning Network, well, that just further reduces the pressure on the base layer protocol. So this is great to see. Again, just kind of like this reinforcement that Bitcoin is being used and it is being improved upon and it is making new innovations. I'm super happy with the way that development on Bitcoin is going. So to that second layer node that we're talking about, this is something I wanted to touch on. So this is John Carvalho. He is over at Bitrefill, who recently partnered with Bitfinex to add Lightning and enabled people to buy stuff via Lightning. So here he's talking about what is CT? Those are confidential transactions. He says no. Confidential transactions on the base layer of Bitcoin is a horrible idea. I'll get back into the trenches to defend Bitcoin's transparency. For Litecoin, it may be a cheap trick, but for Bitcoin, no thanks. And he's referring to Charlie Lee saying that they're doing something called extension blocks, which is kind of like you'll be able to execute confidential transactions on Litecoin using these extension blocks. So what's the worry here? Why is this not kosher for base layer of Bitcoin? And this isn't blanket for everybody, but here's the worry, is that with confidential transactions, you can obfuscate and obscure the amounts so that you can't see how much is being sent to and from, and it makes it difficult to audit the base layer and see how many coins there are. And so if there happened to be an inflation bug somewhere in Bitcoin and you had confidential transactions on the base layer, then feasibly you could have inflation where people could potentially print more Bitcoin than there should have been, and we could go beyond that 21 million cap, and people would not know until the value of Bitcoin was devalued so much and somebody had taken advantage of that. It would take a long time to really notice. So what they're saying here is we can't do this on the base layer. It will compromise the integrity of Bitcoin unless there's a provable way to actually audit the number of coins while also allowing for confidential transactions, which is theoretical. There's not really a way to do that as of yet. And so when somebody brings that up, well, sure, but show me first, is kind of the attitude. What he's saying is that, no, we can do confidential transactions in other layers. So when you're dealing with Lightning transactions, it's more or less impossible to tell who's getting what and where, and you can do it via Tor. Also, to add on to that, there is Liquid Network, which we've discussed before. And so on Liquid, you can actually, and I'll just quote the tweet here from Grubbles, what if I told you you can download an app off the App Store and send Bitcoin using confidential transactions right now using a wallet that can run over Tor, which is Blockstream Green. So I've done a video on Blockstream Green before. I'll link that down below. But here's what the interface looks like on that wallet. And so here in the top, there's a little drop down and you can switch between your regular Bitcoin wallet and the Liquid wallet. And with Liquid, you can have Liquid Bitcoin, which is essentially provably pegged to Bitcoin, so you can't like inflate it and create extra liquid when there's not enough Bitcoin to back it. So that's cryptographically provable, but you can also issue other assets. And so you can see here in this wallet, they have X amount of LBTC or liquid Bitcoin, but they've also received $10 worth of Tether, so USDT, into the wallet, which is issued on the Liquid blockchain. And so you can use Liquid to actually transact while still maintaining the value of Bitcoin back and forth, but do so in a non-traceable way, which is pretty cool. Now, of course, there are trade-offs with using Liquid. It is a federated model, in which case of the federation, I think 2/3 of them would have to be malicious in order to compromise the system, but still it is a notable trade-off that you have to consider. But if you're looking for confidential transactions and you want to move into like a side chain of Bitcoin, you do a transaction and then come back out, that's possible. So I had asked Grubbles, so how do you convert liquid Bitcoin back to Bitcoin? Are you able to do so without compromising your privacy? Because if you have to do that through a KYC exchange, then what's the point of the confidential transactions in the first place? So BTC Andres brought up sideshift.ai, which I have used and I ended up mentioning in another tweet. But so it's kind of like Shapeshift used to be, where you basically designate like, I have this, I want this, and it'll just auto swap it for you. So you can swap liquid for regular Bitcoin just on that platform. But then he brought up something that blew my damn mind. He said, try liquid.supply. You can create a proposal for a swap. So I have liquid Bitcoin and I would like, regular Bitcoin, or I would like whatever. And after that, you can publish your proposal on Twitter and Telegram via the Blockstream satellite. So Blockstream, if you don't know, has a few satellites up in the air where you can actually relay messages via lightning. And you can wait for an anonymous party to accept your proposal and then execute a non-custodial swap between the two of you. So the two of you agree to swap, and it happens in an atomic swap, meaning that if the other person doesn't contribute to, if you put up your liquid Bitcoin and the other person doesn't contribute to the other side of the swap, they can't run away with the money. Both sets of coins have to be there before the swap executes. So there's no cheating, basically. So to sum it up, which I didn't tweet, you can non-custodially and anonymously swap assets via satellite on a side chain of Bitcoin, which I need more time to think it over, but it's so the interesting thing here is, let's kind of take a step back. Right now, you have a lot of countries that are trying to create their own digital versions of currencies, which in itself is hilarious because they think that digitization is the innovation when really people just wanted an escape from shitty central bank policy. That's beside the fact. So they're looking and actively creating digital versions of their local currencies. Well, in a world where you can execute swaps like this, trustlessly, via satellite, anonymously, atomically, how do you then start to stamp out things like lack of KYC? How do you get a handle on that? I don't think you do. Maybe, I don't know. Where do you guys see pinch points? Like what kind of regulatory capture can happen there? It's very interesting to see how like just every time there seems to be a roadblock, somebody's like, well, hey, now there's satellites and you can put this up and you can do an atomic swap and you have confidential transactions. It's pretty wild. So I don't know. Let me know what you think about this. Have you played around with Liquid yet? If not, check out Blockstream Green. It's pretty easy wallet and there's a tutorial, but yeah, it's super, super interesting. One last thing I want to touch on here, not because I care about altcoins. Obviously, you know that I'm Bitcoin is my thing, but because this is just so dramatic and funny. So Poloniex has been partnering with Tron and Justin Sun, and there's been some weird like acquisitions and stuff happening. And because of this, Poloniex is now offering free listings to any tokens or coins that are issued on the Tron blockchain. Anyways, in this, the co-founder of Digibyte was criticizing Poloniex and Tron's partnership on Twitter, asking about user privacy, blah, 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 and kind of calling them out. And after he did, Poloniex delisted Digibyte. So here's the tweet. So Poloniex said, "We don't own any U.S. customer data as all of them have been preserved by Circle. By the way, after careful review, we decided Digibyte is not qualified for our listing standard. We will delist Digibyte soon. details to be announced. And then there was a clapback from the co-founder of Digibyte saying, by not qualified, you mean Digibyte is truly decentralized, was never an ICO, and isn't 100% pre-mined? Duly noted. Poloniex is the new scammer's paradise. The less Digibyte in the possession of the Tron con job, the better. Oh man, get your popcorn. Holy. So yeah, I don't have much comment for this. It's super hilarious, and yeah. What are you gonna do? Anyways, hopefully you guys had a laugh about that. I'm gonna wrap it up there. Thank you guys very much for watching. Of course, as always, like, subscribe, and share. Always share. It's great to get new people in here. If you want to help out the show in another way, you can hit up any of the sponsors. That includes Nord. If you want to get a VPN, I have that on my phone and my computer, and it helps hide your IP address, encrypt your browsing data, and unlocks geoblock content. They've got some deals on right now where if you click the link, you get like 81% off, and it ends up being like $3.49 a month, so pretty solid, so check that out. And finally, if you really like what you saw, you can always drop me a Bitcoin Lightning Network tip at my tippin.me page. With that, I'm out. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you guys tomorrow for your daily session.